Students, welcome to virtual session of week 14. If you can hear me properly, please raise your hands. Okay, good, thank you. So, since we have already covered all the contents of this course, and this is a practice session, so I want you to focus on the topics we have covered after midterm exam more as this as a practice session is meant to revise the topics which are covered after midterm exams. So first of all, after midterm exams we covered chapter 8. So let's have an overview of chapter 8. In chapter 8, the chapter 8 was basically about architecture design, and we talked about architecture design, that it is a plan to know that how the system will be distributed across computers and what will be the hardware and software on each computer. And then when we describe the hardware and software components in detail, so to aid those who are responsible for purchasing, so this tells us about our architecture. So from this chapter, first of all, you should know the architecture components or functions of software. Like there are 4 logics which every software systems have to implement. The first is data storage logic, the second is data access logic, third is application logic, and fourth is presentation logic. So now how data will be stored, how it will be accessed, and how applications will be working, and how the presentations like information will be displayed for users, and how user commands will be input from user. So these are the components. And when we say hardware, talk about hardware options, then we talk about clients and servers. So how clients will look like and how servers will look like. Now clients is the input-output devices, the one where input-output devices are employed by users, and PCs and laptops are considered as clients. And server is the one which is called typically a large computer. It stores the software and it is accessible by many users at the same time. The server-based architectures are mainframe, mini-computer, and microcomputer architectures. Client-based architectures are terminals, microcomputers, or like ATMs, palm-tops, kiosks, etc. Now, the client-server architectures are sometimes server-based, sometimes client-based, and sometimes client-server both-based. So, the server-based architectures is the one where client actually acts as a terminal and server has all 4 logics over there. In client-based architectures, we have only data storage on the server, whereas the rest of the logics are implemented on client. So the client is heavier one. In client-server 2-tiered, 2 logics are at client and 2 are at server. Like presentation and application are at client, and data access and storage are at server. So these are some benefits of client-server architectures. Now there are 3-tier architectures as well, in which we have client only having presentation logic, and there is a separate application server having application logic, and database server having data access and logic and storage logic. And so we have 4-tier architecture as well, where all 4 logics are placed at the location. Now these are some benefits and limitations of 2-tier versus n-tiered architectures, client-server architectures. Now when we have to create an architecture design, we make selections very carefully. Like we consider the non-functional requirements as well, and we see the detailed non-functional requirements to know that what kind of architectures should we have. Now the non-functional requirements, like the typical requirements, some of the requirements are called operational requirements, some are called performance requirements, some are security requirements, and some are cultural or political requirements. Now, when we talk about each one of these, like from an exam perspective, it is important to understand each type of requirements. Like, for example, if you should know that what is portability requirement, what is technical environment requirement. So if you come across a question in exam which tells you from any of these examples, like if you are asked that the system may need to operate with handheld devices such as a palm. So now you should know that what type of requirement it is. It is portability, or it is technical, or it is maintainability requirement. So now you have to carefully read all types of requirements, their definitions and their examples. Same is the case with performance. In performance you have speed, capacity, availability and reliability requirements. So if you are asked that for example, like there will be a maximum of 200 simultaneous users at peak use time. So this is the requirement. So what kind of requirement it is? It is speed, capacity, or availability, or like what kind of? So you should know that this is the capacity requirement. Now, same is the case with security requirements. You should know the types of requirements, and you should understand these examples and the definitions carefully. Now, the cultural and political requirements are multilingual requirements, customization requirements, making unstated norms explicit, and legal requirements. So these are all non-technical. Now, these are all the requirements, and these are their implications for the architecture design, like in server-based, client-based, thin client server, and thick client server-based architectures. So how this what is the implications? And then we make hardware and software specifications. So now, let's have a practice about the questions you can have, or you should know. Let me give you a question, and I'll ask you to answer. For example, if I ask you a question, like this, now this is a MCQ type question from your book. So what can be the answer of this question? Let me maximize it. How I can maximize it. It's readable now. No, it's not. Okay. Now it is. Okay, now this is the question. An example of a technical environment requirement would be, you have 5 options. The system must be able to import, export spreadsheets. The system needs to operate with a BlackBerry. The new versions of the system will be released every 6 months. The system must be able to operate with a different operating system. The system will operate over the web environment within 6 years. So, what would be its answer? So which is of the operation is more appropriate? Students, are you hearing me properly? Okay. So what could be the answer? No, because D is not correct, because an example of technical environment requirement. So it means not like if we say the system must be able to operate with a different operating system. So different operating system means it should be portable. So it is portability requirement, not technical requirement. Technical environment requirement. So anyone else? Yes, it is E. The answer is E, because the system will operate over the web environment using Internet Explorer. So the option E is correct. Now let me give you another question. This is another question. Server-based architecture is when the client captures keystrokes in the very first architecture systems, outdated and never used. Now which of the options is it more approximate? Can you see the question now? mistakenly turned it off. So yes, and the previous answer to the previous was A. It was correct. Now this is another example. An example of multilingual requirement is any one of these options should be correct. So which one is correct? Is not correct. Yes, it is A. System will operate in English, French and Spanish. It is going to operate in 3 languages. So I don't know why there is noise, because at my side it's okay. I've tested my microphone as well. So if you cannot hear me, I can type in my message. Answer is A. Okay, now let's move to the next chapter. Next week. That was about user interface design. So user interface design. So the user interface defines how the systems will interact with external entities, and the system interfaces defines how the system interface is exchange information with other systems. Now the navigation mechanism provides the ways for users to tell the system what to do, and input defines the way the system captures information, and output defines the way the system provides information. And GUI is the most common type of interface we like to use when you are using some system. So these are certain principles of user interface design, like the layout, how the layout should be, how content awareness should be, statics, or about use-based and user experience, and should be consistent, and the user input should be minimized. So the layout concepts are that screen is divided in 3 boxes: navigation area, status area, and work area. And there are some more layout concepts as well. Now this is sample interface, after having the sample layout. Then all the interfaces should have titles, and menus should show where you are, where you came from, and all the interfaces should be well titled. So statics means that the interfaces should be functional and as well as inviting to use. They should not have the information which makes user tired very quickly and the user doesn't like to use that. So it should be inviting for them. The colors and patterns should be used very carefully. Should avoid bright colors, and so these are the statics. Like I gave you an example of this form, that this should not be the case that you design such forms. So then user experience, that how it is easier to learn and how it is to use by expert as well. So they have their some shortcuts over there as well. Then the information should be consistent, the learning curve should be reduced, and there should be at many different levels. It should be consistent. And 3 clicks rule is that you should be able to go from start from main menu to the information. They want in no more than 3 clicks or 3 keystrokes. Then this is the user interface design process. So you make an outline of steps to perform work presented in simple narrative type to the related use case and DFD, and documents the most common path through the use case, so interface designs will be easy to use for those situations. Now the interface structure design is a diagram which show how all screens, forms and reports are related. It is boxes denote screens and lines show movements from one to another. You make such type of design. So this is an example of interface structure design. So we have studied all these topics. Let's have some questions from this. The different types of menus, how the messages should be displayed. Now this is online processing and batch processing. So you should know the difference between online and batch processing. You should be familiar with the types of inputs and why input validation is performed and what type of validations are there. So you should know about all these types of validation. Now let's have some sample questions which you can have. Remember that the questions which you will be getting in exams can be about acronyms as well. For example, you may have questions like this. The GUI is acronym for. Acronym means stands for what? So what is the answer? It's a very simpler one. Yes, it's B. Now another can be these are some sample questions which are from your book. From your book or from the web. I just searched randomly these questions. Yeah, anyone else? Because there are many in the classrooms. Anyone else? Like only few people are responding me. I want to know from others like Hala, Hanan, Hind, Munira, Muna, Green. I want all of you to participate. Wafa, Sarah, Varif. Please, everybody, please participate. Which option is correct? No, it's not B. So if you look at the slides again, which is not a user interface design principle. So the correct answer is E. Okay, now let's have another question. Which selection box might let a user select more than one option? Checkbox, radio button, scroll bar, text box, or database box? So you should know the difference between all of these, and so which allows you to select more than one option. Yes, it's A. So these are some, like I just covered 2 weeks so far. The time is over, so inshallah I'll be covering in coming week. So these are some, because your exam consists of MCQs, true, false, and short questions and long questions as well. So you should expect that, so today we have practiced some MCQs about the topics of 2 chapters, we talked about chapter 8 and chapter 9. So you should expect similar type of questions in your final exam, and you should know about everything, and all the topics you are studying inside should be very clear to you, and so you should practice about these things. So I can provide you for these questions for practice, but if you search the web for some practice sessions, practice exercises for each of the topics you have studied, you'll find many MCQs and many questions, even many exam papers on the web. So any question from your side about anything? About assignments or about any chapter or about any topic? Any question? Sharif, do you have any questions? Okay, you are most welcome. I'd like to explain quickly that NoSQL, what is meant by NoSQL? I couldn't understand your question. Sharif? Chapter 9. On which slide? On which slide? Yeah, do you remember the slide number? Is it in book or slide? Okay, let me open book. Wait for a minute. So do you remember the page number of book as well? So if you read details about NoSQL from page number 375, so from number 375 it's said right here. Yeah, it's like on page 375 you can see that NoSQL data stores are the newest type of object persistence available. Depending on whom you talk to, NoSQL either stands for NoSQL or not only SQL. Regardless, the data stores that are described are as NoSQL typically do not support SQL. So these are the data stores which are not described in SQL language. So this is the newest form of the object. You can say that object persistence format. This is the latest type of object persistence format, and the data stores which are called NoSQL are not defined or not created through SQL language. So, and in today's world, we have to store large amount of data, and to manage large amount of data, we do not create or manipulate those databases using SQL. So this is the latest object persistence format, and newest one, although there is no standard defined for this so far. And if you read about, like it's definitely quite a lot of details are mentioned over here. Because if you read page number 375 and 376, and even on 377 as well, some things about it are mentioned in 377 as well. So there's quite a detail, lot of details mentioned over here. Object persistence formats may, in object persistence formats used, sometimes you have file systems, you have relational database, you have the object-related database, and you have this NoSQL data stores. So you can have a persistence object, you can have object formats, any of these types. So yes, this is like file systems. Like when you keep your data in the form of files, so it is a file format is important. This is the newest one, and since for files, for relational database, standards are there, but for NoSQL data stores, there is no standards available so far. It's the newest one. Okay, students, thank you so much. So I'm turning the microphone off, and the time is over as well. So let's meet in our database course class. Thank you.